My name is Masichi, and I am the founder of Masi Brands, which is a design and talent match agency located in Atlanta. And today I am going to be speaking on branding and leveraging media for global impact. So once again, welcome. And one thing I'm going to ask is, why does this topic matter? This topic matters so much because first, we live in a noisy world. Everyone is competing for attention. Businesses are competing for attention. Courses are competing for attention. Even everyday individuals are competing for attention. So if you do not have a strong brand, and if you do not have a clear media presence, your voice gets lost in the noise. And what branding does is that it helps you to stand out, and the media helps you that you're able to be heard. Another reason why this topic matters is because people don't just buy into products. People buy into identities and customers. Customers want to feel connected, right? They want to know what you stand for. They want to know not just what you sell. And this is what a strong brand does. A strong brand, it allows people to emotionally buy into your values and into your story and into your vision. And another reason why this matters is because, you've probably heard the saying that the world is a global village, right? So global opportunities are now local opportunities. The internet, everyone is online. So you can be in Nigeria and you can see, someone doing amazing things in Dubai. A personal brand in Lagos can be recognized in London or Tokyo, right? And the bridge between all of this is media. So branding ensures that when you cross that bridge, you're taken seriously. So I can't really see the chat. So if you could be so kind, Olajumoke, to if there is something in the chat, if you can read it out for me. But I want to ask, if I said, think of the word branding, what comes to mind? Can you drop in the chat what comes to mind when you think of the word branding? I'll wait. If someone can be kind to read out what's in the chat.
Identity.
Identity, okay.
Perception.
Is it perfection or perception?
Perception.
Perception, okay. Okay, and what next?
Uniqueness.
Uniqueness, all right. Well, thank you all so much for contributing to that. So usually when you talk about branding, most people, what they are thinking about is maybe your logo or your color palette, or maybe even your tagline, right? But as you can see, branding is so much more than that. Branding is a story that people tell about you when you're not in the room. And I'm going to give you an example, right? So I also do YouTube in addition to my business. And so this one time, this was in 2023, I was in Ohio for my uncle's wedding. And then someone approached me and she was like, "Oh my God, are you Nenye? Are you And I was like, Yeah, that's me. What's going on?" And she said, "I follow you on YouTube. You talk about scholarships, you talk about this, you talk about that." And I was like, "Oh, that's nice to know, right?" And she told me about how her sister had been following me and, how her sister always watches me. And then something also happened during that period where a friend of mine shared, they sent me a screenshot of a conversation in their family group chat. And what was in the family group chat? It was one of my videos that was shared on there. And then the sibling was like, "Oh yeah, I watch her. She always talks about this and that." And that just stuck out to me how that is branding, because I was recognized for the work, the videos that I make in a completely different setting. It wasn't because I had introduced myself, but because they had heard of me or seen me from my online presence. So in today's world, branding is not optional, right? It is a necessity. And the thing is that when it's combined with the right media strategies, it can open the doors to opportunities, and it can also cross borders and culture. So now I've touched a little on what branding is. I would like us to go deeper into it. So I'd like us to go deeper into what branding is beyond the visual. And someone said perception in the chat, and I liked that answer so much, and I so vehemently agree, because branding is the perception that people have about you, right? And if we are to relate it to your business, it is the perception that people have about your business. It's the consistent way you show up in your communication, in your values, in your customer experiences, in your partnership, and of course, also your visuals. With personal branding, it's the reputation and the identity that you build as an individual. An example is Oprah Winfrey, right? Oprah Winfrey is an individual. She's a woman that I can say without reasonable doubts that a lot of people in the world know. Oprah's personal brand is trust, it's empowerment and storytelling, and it does not matter the platform. It is consistent all through. And then with business, right? With business branding, it's the identity and the promise of your company. Let's think about Apple, for instance, right? A lot of us use Apple products. Apple products, the branding of Apple is based on minimalism and it's based on innovation. One important thing that I want us to note is that your brand exists whether or not you actively shape it. That's one thing you have to understand. It doesn't matter if you define it or not. If you don't define it, others will. And the problem with others defining your brand is that you might not like the version that they create. So now let's talk about taking ownership of your brand. The truth is, us humans, we naturally create stories, right? If you leave a blank space, people are going to fill it in with their assumptions. They are going to fill it in with their interpretations. They're going to fill it in with their personal experience or something they heard from another person that they heard from another person, right? So, but the thing is, it's not going to remain blank. That blank space is not going to remain blank because it would always be filled up with something. And how does this relate to branding? It means that if you do not communicate who you are and what you stand for, your audience, they are going to create their own version of your brand. The problem with this is that this version, it might actually not align with your values or your goals. So I'm going to give an example, right? Think of like a consultant. Maybe you're a consultant, you never clarify your specialty, never clarify what exactly it is that you're consulting on. People might just think, oh, this is just another freelancer. as opposed to thinking of you as a trusted authority, right? Or a restaurant that does not have maybe an online presence, right? Think of like a brick and mortar restaurant that doesn't have an online presence. It can just be labeled as, oh, this is just an outdated restaurant or a low quality restaurant, even if the food is excellent. So this is what, can come if you do not brand yourself. It doesn't mean these perceptions, they're not necessarily true, but the problem is that they can become a reality in the minds of your audience. And the problem with that is in business, perception kind of slowly becomes reality if you do not take time. The reason why leaving your branding to others can hurt you, it can lead to the loss of control, right? Because if you don't have a defined brand, you cannot control the narrative. For instance, if there are rumors, if there are misconceptions, or maybe if there are even vocal competitors who are more, if there are competitors who are more vocal about their identity, you're not able to control the narrative because you do not have a defined brand. And it can also lead to missed opportunities. Because when your brand is unclear, think about this, right? Let's say I want to, I want to buy something. I'm a potential customer, but I cannot easily identify what it is that this person offers. Maybe they say they are jack of all trades. I have no idea what exactly it is that they offer. I'll probably just choose to go to someone else who their branding is more defined. So this is what, when you do not brand yourself, what it can lead to. It leads to missed opportunities. Another thing is also it can lead to a reputation risk because in today's digital age, if there is, a single bad review, a viral tweet, or, something that is misinterpreted, that message can stick. And the problem is if you don't have a strong and consistent brand that can counterbalance that, those negative perceptions of you can become the dominant version of, either your identity or your business identity. So you have to actively take ownership of your brand. You have to actively shape your brand. And no, I'm not saying you have to go out there and be fake. I am not saying that you have to go and create an identity that is not you. I'm just saying that you have to clarify, and not just clarify, but you also have to amplify the truth of who you are and what it is that you stand for. So now that we've kind of gotten deep into branding and, why you should brand yourself, we can talk about how to brand yourself or your business. So the first step is by clarifying your core. You need to know your mission, you need to know your vision, you need to know your values, right? Your mission, that's why your business is existing. The future you want to create, that's a vision. And the principles that are guiding your decisions, that's your value. You also have to know the problem that your business solves. Another step, the next step after this is you have to know your audience. Okay, you cannot be everything to everyone. I believe that was also one of the things that the last speaker, Mr. Yinka, he touched on. He said you're not going to be everyone, you're not going to do everything. You have to clarify, who are you speaking to? Are you speaking to entrepreneurs? Are you speaking to parents? Are you speaking to professionals? Whoever it is that you decide you're speaking to, you have to define that clearly so that your message lands. Because if you actually don't define who it is you're speaking to, it's going to be hard in your messaging. That's also one of the things that we see. It's going to be hard in your messaging because if you're speaking to entrepreneurs, you can clearly speak in the lingua. right? You can clearly, bring your message to talk about things that are going to be important for entrepreneurs. But now, if you don't even know who you're speaking with, your message is so generalized that it's not going to land. Let me give you an example, right? So think of this. Let's say your car broke down. Maybe your car broke down in your house or something, and you're trying to find someone to help you fix it. And you can't really call AAA because, I don't know, some reason you couldn't really call AAA. So you go outside and you start shouting, "Hey, come and help me fix my car. Hey, come and help me fix my car." The thing with that is most probably nobody will come, right? People might turn their heads, don't get me wrong, because of course they see someone, you know, shouting, but most probably nobody will come. But when you change it to, "Hey, Patricia, come and help me fix my car," Patricia will come. And why is that? That's because you're specifically calling out for Patricia. You're not just generalizing the message and saying, "Hey, come and help me fix my car." Another way, the next step in branding yourself for your business is crafting your messaging and delivering a consistent experience. You have to create a brand voice and a tone guide. Okay, you have to keep your message consistent across all platforms because branding is not just what people see, it's also what they feel. So let me give you an example. Think of Chick-fil-A. When you think of Chick-fil-A, what is the first thing that comes to your mind? It's okay, it's a fast food, but they have good customer service. Actually, you can do this exercise when we're done. If you go online and you search what is Chick-fil-A known for, what comes up is that Chick-fil-A is a widely recognized for its chicken sandwiches and its emphasis on customer service. And why is that? That is because Chick-fil-A, they've branded themselves to go just beyond a fast food chain that sells burgers and fries. Now, their customers know them. Their customers know that their branding, is identified with good customer service. And of course, another way you can also brand yourself is also with your visual identity. We have kind of touched on this, where you keep your visuals, your logo, your colors, you keep them all the same. Okay. If your logo is circle on Facebook, it should be circle on Instagram and also circle on YouTube. I shouldn't go on YouTube and I see something totally different, because that is going to bring in confusion for your audience. But also another thing that you would remember is that even though the visuals matter, they are the expression. They're not really the essence of your brand. So let's now talk about your view and people's perception of you, whether it's your personal brand or your business. Because the thing is, as you create your brand, it's important to know that gaps might exist between the way you view your brand, whether it's your personal brand or your business brand, and the way others might view it. Okay, so for instance, you might be a YouTuber who uses short stories to teach financial education. Others, your audience, might see you just as a storyteller, but you see yourself as a financial expert. When that gap exists, then it means that your view of your brand is very different from your audience's perception of your brand. And when something like this happens, it's important to identify those gaps. So one of the ways you can identify it is, you can use surveys and feedback. So you can create, very short targeted surveys that can ask your customers how they would describe your brand in 2 to 3 words. You can ask them, okay, when you think of my business, what is the emotion that you feel when you engage with this business? You can ask questions like, what do you think sets our business apart? You can do a handful of, in-depth conversation interviews that can reveal the nuances that maybe from your surveys that your surveys can miss, right? You can ask them, okay, what part of my messaging feels forced and what part actually resonates? You can also use reviews and testimonials, right? Because what this can help you do is that you can analyze the language patterns in the online reviews. So when you analyze it, you check, okay, are people emphasizing the qualities that I want to be known for, or I want our business to be known for? Or is that something, are they noticing something else? So let's say, for instance, you want your business to be seen as a premium and professional business, but your customers, maybe when they give reviews, they say, oh, it's very affordable and it's very approachable. It's not that it's wrong, right? It's not that it's bad, excuse me, it's not that it's bad. However, there is a disconnect because you want your brand to be seen as premium and professional, but customers are describing it as affordable. So at this point, you see that there's a disconnect between your intended brand and the audience's perception. And, another way is also through, social listening. You can look and see how people talk about your brand on social media, on blogs. Um, there are other ways you can track it, right? So these are some of the ways that you can see that your view of your brand might be different from people's or your audience's perception. And this is you identify the gaps, and then, of course, you close the gaps so that your brand, your view resonates with or aligns with what the audience perceives.
Mm.
I'm
Okay.
sorry.
Okay. Hi, Masichi. So I just want to confirm with you that because of time, so we have like 2 more minutes to just wrap up. I don't,
Okay.
I know that is a lot, and I will really enjoying the session, but I don't know if you can wrap up in a minute or two.
Yes, I do have 3 more slides, so I'm going to run through them real quick, okay?
Okay, good. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sam. All right. Um, okay, so I'm going to go on now into the main, this is actually the main beef of the engagements, because I've spent the past, I don't know, 20 minutes talking about your brand and explaining what it is. But now we have to know, why is branding important for global impact? It's important because, one, recognition and trust. In crowded markets, people don't just buy products, they buy trust, right? And a strong branding creates familiarity. Another thing is differentiation. Branding is what makes you stand out. I gave an example earlier about Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A is also, it's a chain restaurant, right? They sell chicken and burgers and fries. But what differentiates them from other restaurants like Wendy's or Burger King's or McDonald's is their customer service. Another reason why branding is important for global reach and global impact is scalability, because we've seen so many people who have become household names just from branding themselves, right? We'll see like a Nigerian fashion brand that goes viral on Instagram, right? So that is one of the things that branding can do for you. And another thing also is legacy building, because a strong brand outlives you. Think of Disney, right? Disney till today is still, they call it the happiest place on earth. And it continues to impact generations even long after Walt Disney, who founded it. So now that we understand why branding is important, the next thing is, leveraging or using the right platforms. There is social media, which there is under social media, there is Instagram, which you can use for visuals. There is LinkedIn for professional authority. There is YouTube, as you know, for long-term storytelling. Or maybe you prefer digital media, you can go into podcasts or blogs. The thing is, don't get stuck on the platform. The platform doesn't matter, okay? Just pick the one that works for you and stick to it. Another thing is using storytelling to connect. Oh my God, I cannot tell you guys how impactful storytelling can be. Share your journey, share your customer story, share behind the scene. Um, One brand that I see that did this well is Humans of New York, right? They grew from a photo blog to a global movement. Another person that I see that cracks this code is Diary of a Niger Girl in Nigeria, who leveraged storytelling and media to build a global platform and a skincare business. Another way you can leverage is collaborations and partnership, right? You can, let's say you're a local chef, you can partner with a travel blogger for international exposure. But another thing I want you guys to understand is that it's not just about being viral or no, consistency is key. You have to show up regularly and you have to understand that global recognition is built over time. An example is Ellie Diop. She's an entrepreneur. I've been following her for some time, and she talks about how her life had unraveled, and she got laid off, and she got divorced, and she became a single mother of four with no income, and she moved in with her mom. But she was talking about how this was so challenging, but it pushed her into launching her business and into being consistent. Consistency is key. So it doesn't really matter, right? Just keep being consistent. Now, there are a couple of other things I wanted to talk about, but I'm just going to close up with this. I want you to understand that branding is not about being everywhere. It's about being remembered for the right reasons, in the right way, and by the right people. So what I want you to do, you can do it this week. You don't really have to do it right now, but I want you to write down 3 words that you want people to think of when they hear of your name or your business. Then you ask yourself, am I showing up consistently to reflect those words? If your answer is no, then you begin today. Because the thing is, when you intentionally shape your brand, right? You're not just a business, you just stop being a business owner or just a random person, but you become a voice that has, traveled beyond borders, and you become someone that is able to build and to leave a legacy. So thank you all so much. I am sorry I had to, cut it shorter, but thank you all so much for this opportunity. Thank you to ILC, thank you to you, Sam, and thank you to the whole organization. I hope this was quite impactful.
Well, thank you very much, Masiche. I myself have learned a lot about branding and also seeing branding in a new lens. So in terms of personal branding and also branding for maybe you have a business, an organization, or a company. So I'm just curious because this is a question. And in case if you have any question, you can put it in the chat. Masishi can answer by typing. But the question I have is, how do you distinguish between your personal brand and your business brand, not mixing them up? Right? This is a problem that many people have. So you have a personal brand and you also have an organization. So how can you do it in such a way that you don't mix your brands together? Thank you.
Yes, so thank you, Samuel, for that question. One of the ways is by taking yourself out of the equation in your business. something a lot of founders do, and I also used to do it. Okay, so I'm not saying that I am innocent, but something a lot of us founders do is you introduce yourself. Like when you're talking about yourself or your business, rather, I'm sorry, when you're talking about your business, you're saying me. You're introducing yourself as the founder, right? Think of this. If you want to go to buy something from Apple and they tell you it's $1,000, you're not going to start negotiating, right? But now, if someone is coming to buy something from you as a business, right? And the person says, "Oh, you're the person that founded this," because they know you're the last resort of decision making, right? So they come to you and they say, "Oh, okay, instead of buying this for 1,200, can I get it for $800?" So that's one of the ways. Take yourself out of the equation in your business. Your business is not you. Whenever people refer to me as Masi Brands, I tell them I'm not Masi Brands. We have a whole team. Like we're not the same. So that's also one of the ways. And when you're branding your business, you separate it. Your business is entirely your business, right? And when you're branding yourself, now your personal self is okay. Who do I want to be remembered as, right? But your business is totally, totally different from you.
Uh,
Part of the business. You're not the business.
well, thank you. That's profound. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.